Welcome to another episode of the Wood Couture podcast. Today we have the absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Fazlin Hoosain, founding and director of Collectic Design. Welcome to the show, dear Fazlin.
Oh, thank you, Filippo. Thank you for having me here.
We are glad that you managed to tune in from the one and only South Africa, which is
Yeah.
we very much love your country, and very soon we want to hear all about you. So, 15 years
Fantastic.
of interior design experience, but above all, we want to know where it all started.
Okay, so growing up, Filippo, I've always known that I wanted to be in the creative industry. So my mom's a creative, she paints, and from a young age, I was taught how to paint and draw and kind of just develop my creative side. And when I left school, I actually wanted to study fashion design because I actually really love fashion design so much. And growing up, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. So she used to have a CMT business where they obviously cut and make and sew for like bigger brands or stores. And I spent a lot of my childhood in the factory with them actually, and got to assist them with like smaller pieces or like assisting with cleaning the garments or just being around this like creative outlet, right? And growing up, I thought, okay, definitely going into the creative industry was definitely going to work for me because I was a natural and it just kind of felt like an organic progression. So coming from a family that so on my mom's side and on my dad's side, both specialized in doing CMT work, sewing and stuff like that. So I was very much involved in the fashion side. But when I told my parents I wanted to do fashion design, they were like, maybe think about it a little bit because it's quite challenging. There are so many people going into the industry and all of that stuff. And then it got me thinking. And when I went to university, I actually spent the first year doing what's called the foundation course of design. And you get to do a bit of each design faculty, and that was so nice because I got to experience all the different design faculties, what their requirements were, and it got me to see what my strengths were. And at the end of the course, I decided to go for interior design because it kind of encompasses a bit of all the other design fields. So it's got a bit of textile design, it's got some fashion, it's got colors, so like graphic design, and then obviously branding, that bringing in the graphic design as well. And I thought it would be like a nice fit for me. And then that's when my journey into interior design started.
Wow. So, would you say that your mom has been the mentor in your journey?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. My mom and I are very tight. And even up until today, she's like my best friend. So she's definitely been a mentor to me.
So, what is the best advice she gave you?
The best advice she gave me was to just to follow what I'm passionate about, and as long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, money was never a big influence in choosing my career. It was all about finding something I naturally am drawn to, something I enjoy. And I really agree with the fact that if you enjoy what you do, you honestly feel like you're not working a day in your life. Okay, there is the admin side of business, which is always going to be there. But at the end of the day, if you enjoy what you do, that is payment enough for me. Especially when I see my clients' faces at the end of projects, it's like an overwhelming happy feeling that money actually can't bring into or can't create, I would say.
I can see the way you're talking about it. You jumping up and down. You have your enthusiasm just pop out from everywhere. And tell me, what I want to know. I was impressed with you spent few years working for third parties, and then suddenly here we go. I found my own company and do my own collection. What triggered that in you?
So funny enough, I've always wanted to start my own business, and I've always had the idea that around the age of like 30 would be a good time to start my business, because I would have had at least 10 years experience. Obviously learned a lot within that 10 years. So yeah, I think when I reached the age of 30, it just felt like the timing was right, and I went with it. And by that time, I'd already kind of built a name for myself in the industry here locally. So people were quite keen to work with me based on my previous experience, obviously. So that was quite nice. So yeah, I actually started my business in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. And then at the end of 2019, I decided to launch a furniture range as well. And I've always loved furniture design. I remember when I was back at varsity, our last project, so in third year, we do like a furniture design project. And we had to design this drinks trolley. And it was such an exciting project because we not only designed it, but we had to have it manufactured as well. And that kind of introduced me to understanding how wood and how pieces gets fit together, the different fixing mechanisms, working with new technology. At that time, the CNC machine had just been launched in South Africa, so it was quite big. And obviously we went and we used that technology, which is so amazing. And yeah, so anyway, so when I started my business, I knew I wanted to do a furniture range, purely because another reason I wanted to do a furniture range was when you do interior design, most of the time you are obviously creating a space based on your clients' desires, their look, their feel, their aesthetic, So with furniture design, what I found is I actually got a chance to express my personal style through those furniture pieces without having any brief or anything handed to you by your client. So I actually really like that. And by creating my furniture range, people could actually see what my aesthetic is, which is very modern, contemporary. And yeah, I think that was basically like my biggest challenge, wanting to get my brand out there, my aesthetic out there as well. And it also got me to touch on something I'm quite passionate about, and something I wasn't able to implement in interiors as much yet, which is sustainable design. And yeah, so I got to do that with my furniture design, because the first range I did it's basically got a sustainable aspect to it, where some of the materials are upcycled and elevated. Yeah, but we can chat more about that. I'm sure you have lots of questions.
No, you said something very interesting that caught my attention, saying something that I was not able to do in interior design, which is sustainable design. Why is that? Why you were not able to do it?
So because, living in South Africa, we are naturally quite behind with new trends and stuff, but sustainability is not really caught on that much in South Africa yet. So when you're working with a client and you're trying to pitch sustainable solutions, because it's not as prominent in South Africa yet, obviously the more sustainable approach obviously becomes more expensive because it's not flooded in the market. So people would often go for the more affordable route than going for the more sustainable route. But I have noticed that especially in office design, I don't do a lot of office design. I mostly do residential and hotels. But I've noticed that in office design, it has become a prerequisite for the building, especially because in South Africa, we've got the council called GBCSA, so the Green Building Council.
Yes.
And I've noticed that mostly in office blocks, the green building strategies has been implemented, not so much in residential.
Wow. That's interesting what you're saying. So how do you feel about the hospitality industry in South Africa? Do they do enough for sustainability?
Honestly, I don't think so. But I do feel like we are moving in that direction. People are becoming more aware. people are becoming more, obviously more considerate for the environment and all of those things. And also, I don't like mentioning this too much, but in South Africa, we also have load shedding and electricity problems. So hopefully that's a motivation for them to go a bit more sustainable, especially when it comes to, natural lighting, using sun for lighting, and using those solar panels, for example. I think that's a very easy way of introducing some sustainability into the design process, at least. But I'd say we are slowly getting there, hopefully.
Wow, I'm surprised because I've been to South Africa, I've been to Cape Town and other places, and
Yeah.
I found it remarkable the amount of natural resources and wildlife. You name it. There is absolutely everything to be probably a benchmark for sustainability. As a country,
Oh, yes.
it's amazing. It's fascinating, and anyhow, that's interesting. So I understand that you are a great fan of marble. You love marble, right?
Yes, absolutely. What's not to love?
Tell me, why is that?
So basically, my furniture range was inspired, obviously, by using upcycling marble pieces. And I'll tell you a little bit about that, and I'll go back into marble. But I was working on a kitchen project for one of my clients, and I went to our marble manufacturers, and then I obviously noticed all of these offcuts lying on the side. So I'm the type of person, when I see materials just going to waste, I immediately start thinking of ways of reusing them. And I think it also comes from when I was quite young, working in the factory with my granny, because all the offcut fabrics I would use, and then I would make myself something out of it. So that was already like naturally imprinted in me. And when I saw these marble pieces, I was like, these are absolutely beautiful pieces, right? They come from nature. They are so beautiful in its unique way. No pieces are alike. They age with beauty. They basically one of my favorite sustainable products to work with. And that's kind of how my first furniture range started. It was inspired by those marble pieces I saw, and then I created this really small but really nice and unique bespoke marble range of side tables. And I thought that it worked out quite nice. But to answer your question, why I love marble so much, it's just an absolutely beautiful material, and it's timeless. I remember going to France and going to these like old architectural buildings, the marble, the layouts of the marble, the way they use the material. It's classy, it's stylish, it's timeless, it's organic, it's unique. I mean, what more can I say?
It's refreshing for somebody that is young, because you're still young. I think you're still 25.
Yeah.
And that
I wish so.
that basically, but it was a compliment, and you're still very young, and but that actually recognizes, the marble is unique because it's different. When you have some time interior designer, they want every table with the same slab, line direction. Say, guys, marble is a natural, commodity. You cannot make it. You take it from a quarry and then slice it, and you don't know what you find until you slice it. And
Yeah.
that's very interesting. We come into your collection because I want you to talk me through your collections, because I had a look at it, but people that are watching us from home and all the parts of the world don't know your collection. I had a glimpse of few pieces which are beautiful. And what do you reckon has been your most challenging project to date?
My most challenging project, it was probably a project I did during COVID, during the lockdown, because I was busy with this really beautiful new build project. It was a 2-story house in Tukai here in Cape Town. And it was a really nice project because I was working very closely with the architects from the very beginning. So I got to do like architectural changes, got to change window sizes and everything else. So I was quite involved, and it was very nice. But obviously, because it was done during COVID, introduced a whole lot of different like challenges. Not being able to go to site, being held down because of lockdowns and stuff like that. So although it was a challenging project, I was still really blessed to get an amazing project like that during lockdown. So regardless of anything, it was a great experience. Yeah.
Wow. And I would say to you is this: how are you, or for better saying, what are you doing differently from a design point of view that you were doing before COVID?
Before COVID?
Yeah. Are you approaching design in a different way? That's what I'm trying to ask you.
Okay. So do you mean basically with running the business or with the design itself?
The design itself.
So the design itself. So with COVID, I've actually looked to some Japanese designs. So they have obviously the culture of leaving the shoes at the door, and then before entering into the house, and then obviously sanitizing or whatever at the door. So I actually like that concept, and I haven't gotten the chance of implementing it yet, but I would like to do that in future, in maybe a new project coming up. But kind of just creating a niche or like a stopping point in the entrance where they can change their shoes, sanitize, put home shoes on, because I've noticed a lot of people are also introducing that. Remove your shoes when you come to the door, rather walk like on socks or wear like slippers or something like that. So a lot of my friends are actually doing that at the moment. So that's something to include. And then obviously just considering the type of materials you use. Is it easy to clean, easy to sanitize? Does germs like stick onto it? Like you have to consider those things, like the cleanable, like is it easy to clean? Is it long lasting? Introducing like sustainability into it as well, because anything that's long lasting would be more durable maybe. I'd say that. But then another challenge is also educating the clients, because a lot of people think that it's not something permanent. But I would say that was like my biggest idea actually when it comes to creating like the layout within the living space and stuff like that. Just kind of cleaning your hands, sanitizing, removing your shoes as you enter the house, so that the house remains like a cleaner, hygienic space. If that answers your question.
Yeah, no, hey, you the designer, I'm just, I'm here listening to you because, it appears there's a lot of designers that during COVID, they kind of rethinking the way they approach in design, and it seems to be a theme reoccurring with everybody. Yes. So I was wondering whether you are one of them, and but let me ask you, what do you get your inspiration from when you approach your design, your projects?
For my projects, yeah. My main source of inspiration is my clients.
Okay, why is that?
Definitely my clients. Yes, my clients. So when I start a project, it's like really exciting because it's like getting to know your clients, getting to know how they use this space, what inspires them, what motivates them, what do they like, what don't they like. So that is quite an interesting psychological journey that you go on with your clients. So like really getting to know them really well. In that way, you can obviously design a space perfect for them. And what I always tell my clients is the space or their brand should be an extension of your personal style. And when I meet my clients, I get to understand how they live, how they socialize, do they entertain, do they like going out, is there anything interesting they like? And there's always something that pops up that I could basically use as my inspiration to develop it further, whether it is a holiday in Greece that they possibly went to, or whether it is, I don't know, like a vase that the mother left them, for example. Like anything could be an inspiration. And I really like that because I'm creating for the client, they should be the inspiration for the space. And people are so diverse and so interesting. So I really get to enjoy actually getting to know people and understanding how they do things, how they like things, how they what they appreciate, what they don't appreciate, and then kind of just creating that brief and then going from there. So each client is different, obviously.
All right, clear. And curiosity, when you enter a job and you say you get distracted, do you have an habit, or how do you regain focus on what you're doing when you get distracted?
When I'm busy on a project.
Yeah. Or you lose inspiration, or you lose, how can I say, sometimes you have those moments, you say, I'm blank, you know what I mean? It's, so do you have a routine to get back to your focus?
You know, funny enough, whenever I start a project, and normally in the beginning, you have absolutely no direction. So it's a bit daunting. And I always get quite nervous in the beginning of a project. But after spending a few hours with the clients, or going online, finding inspiration, whether it's going to a marble yard, going to a furniture store, getting inspired by a piece of art, there's always something. I kid you not, there's always something that comes up. And literally, it takes that one thing for the creative juices to be flowing. So like in every project, in the beginning, I'd be so nervous. And I'll be like, you know what, this is a big project. I have to make it amazing. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so that's always my goal. Yeah, and then literally like a week later, I'd come up with this absolutely amazing concept, and I'd look back and I'll be like, Faz, why were you even stressing? Because things always tend to work out as they're meant to work out, and they progress organically. So even though I have those stressful moments, I'll do a little bit of meditation, and I'll tell myself, girl, you got this. Don't stress. And it's back to the drawing board. Oh, and lots of lists as well. Lists and lists and lists helps a lot with planning.
Wow. How much of your interior architecture design is bespoke, and how much is, I would say, taking inspiration from existing furniture pieces?
So a lot, I would say, in the design industry, items are, most of the time it's bespoke. Like, I mean, you could change one arm of an armchair and it could be like a bespoke design, right? But I'm all for creating spaces that's a little bit unusual, but obviously that fits into the brief for the client. I personally don't enjoy just copy and pasting. It just takes the creativity out of it. It takes the joy out of it. So I would say I personally love doing custom furniture design, which is obviously why I did furniture design as well. And so a lot of the times it's definitely custom because that's what I enjoy. And then obviously loose pieces of furniture, that's items that we buy locally, wherever we can find. But I would definitely, like, the mood board is always an inspiration. It's never just a copy and paste. I think as a designer, you have to push yourself, you have to be creative, you think out of the box, and I'm all for respecting other people's creativity. So for me to just go and take a design and implement it, I don't know, just doesn't stand well with me, I mean, we all have our own creativity and we should just embrace it. Mm-hmm. It's so fun.
Let's say I come to you and say, hey, Faz, I want you to design my house. So after you create the concept, do you naturally give a name to this concept, meaning the panic room, for example? Yes.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yes, it's all about telling a story. So each project will have a different name. And I feel like interior design is partly, it's storytelling. It's coming up with a concept, it's coming up with a name, it's coming up with a story, and then implementing it into the design. And that story needs to run through each thread, through the furniture design, through the custom furniture design, through the materials and the finishes you choose, through the shapes. That thread needs to run through each and every item and each and every design feature that comes into the space. So it's all about storytelling. And definitely always when I come up with my mood boards and selling it to the client, you create that story, you create that excitement. So definitely I always come up with names for my projects, and each name is different.
Okay. And obviously you were involved in hotel designs, hotel interior designs, and also you stay in hotels. What do you think is the main challenge nowadays for interior design for the hospitality industry?
Obviously, the biggest challenge is obviously COVID-19. I mean,
Okay.
that really caught us by surprise. Look, creating a hotel is all about creating an experience. And as long as we stick to our, as long as we have a structure in place on how to obviously handle, the health, the hygiene, all of those things, as long as all of those things are implemented, you can still achieve, the look and the feel and the experience in hotels. Obviously, another challenge is the fact that people aren't really traveling, so people aren't wanting to spend that much on investing in hotels at the moment. So it has been a bit quiet, but I don't know. Let's see how things goes. Like I haven't really done hotel project since COVID happened, so I can't really say much more than that, to be honest.
Right, but it's interesting because experiential design is very important. And I was speaking at a conference in London last week, and everybody talks about the challenge of actually designing to their hotel categories. Is and try to get the experience beyond our aesthetics, and which is challenging.
Definitely.
But I want to dive into your collection, and obviously you said the name is Collectic, and
Yes. So my business name.
tell me about your collection.
Okay, so my business name is called Collectic. And how I came up with the name for Collectic, I actually found that name on Urban Dictionary. So it's a site online, and it's basically like these made up words, and people will give like a definition for it. But when I was looking for a name for my business, I wanted it to be something that obviously explains what I'm actually doing, like the concept behind the business. And the main concept behind the business is to create spaces that is an extension of the client or the brand's personal style, but also introducing other elements like whether it is like heirlooms, something your family has left you that you want to incorporate into the design, adding these like personal elements into the space. And that's how I came up with the name of Collectic. And also when I found the name, it just kind of fits perfectly because it's like, it's eclectic, but it also includes collections. So it's like your personal collections and then merging with eclectic, if that makes sense. So that's how the business came up. And I thought it was quite catchy. I quite liked it immediately when I saw it. And with regards to my first furniture range, I was really excited about because I got to exhibit that at the Design in Daba as part of the Emerging Creatives. So it was a really cool platform to actually launch the brand onto. And that was at the beginning of 2019, just before COVID hit South Africa and the lockdown happened. So it was absolutely crazy. But so the furniture range, like I mentioned before, it's inspired by obviously reusing and upcycling beautiful pieces of marble. So I would go and hand select at these marble yards. I would go around to them and hand select beautiful off-cut pieces that I found, and then create interesting ways of uplifting and elevating those pieces and kind of treating it as it's meant to be treated. Like for me, like marble and natural stones are beautiful. I mean, it's as beautiful as like rubies or anything else for the home, So that was quite fun to kind of create these pieces, elevate these beautiful marble pieces, and just give it the attention it needs. And that was basically like the start of it. And then I named it, my first range is called the Phoenix range. So it's like rising from the ashes, basically.
The Phoenix range. And what does it include? What pieces does the Phoenix range includes?
Okay, so the Phoenix range is made up of four side tables and 2 mirrors. I started quite small with the first range, and it actually took off quite well. People were quite responsive. I exhibited also at 100% design that normally takes place in Johannesburg each year. And that was a nice exercise because I got to see what people's feedback was, what they think about sustainability, is it important to them or not? So it was really nice market research. And yeah, and then I'm actually working on a second range this year, and I'm collaborating with a local marble manufacturer in Cape Town, and they're absolutely brilliant. So I'm very excited to think up and dream up my new range. Hopefully next year.
Do you have a name for your second range?
Not yet, because it's literally just in the conceptual phase. So I've got 2 ideas I'm wanting to play with, and interesting like joining techniques for the marble itself. So I think as the process goes on, I'm sure a name fitting enough will pop up in my head one day. That's normally what happens. So yeah.
Where would you like to see your collections, placed?
Oh. Definitely the Milan Furniture Fair, the Cylinder Mobile. Oh, I was there in 2011 and wow, blown away. Blown away. I spent a week exploring the exhibition and it was so amazing. Got to meet such interesting individuals. It was just an amazing experience. So yeah, to be able to exhibit there would definitely be number 1 on my bucket list for furniture. Yeah, for sure.
Do you see yourself more evolving as a product designer or as an interior architect?
Very good question. I think I'm at a place in my life and in my career where I'm kind of still finding my way. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying, I still very much enjoy interior design, but I also very much enjoy furniture design. So although my business is mainly focused on interior design, if the furniture does take off in the future, if things actually evolve in that way, I'm happy to go in that direction. But for now, I'm holding on to both interior and furniture design, for sure.
So you try to go parallel until one of the two take the lead on saying, that's my direction.
I look up to this incredible interior designer in the USA. She's based in LA. Her name is Kelly Wurstler. I'm not sure if you've heard of her. She's huge. She's huge. She does absolutely everything. She does interiors, she does textiles, she does furniture, she does fashion, she does collaborations with rugs. She does, she does collaborations with artists. She does everything. So that is basically the direction I'm going into. I don't like limiting myself. You know the idea when people used to say, jack of all trades, master of none. I feel like that's quite old school. It's like, follow your passion, do what you love doing, and, I'm sure things will work out.
Creativity has no boundaries. So
yeah, exactly.
It goes everywhere.
Exactly.
Exactly. So what's your biggest dream? So when you started your company, what was the dream and say, you know what, this, I want to see it that way. So what is your biggest dream? Apart from exhibiting at Salone del Mobile.
Oh, wow. What is my biggest dream? I think my biggest dream at the moment would be to design. I don't know. You threw me off here. But it's definitely got to do with designing a hotel in Cape Town.
So let me ask you another challenging question that I need to test you. I need to test you, because I'm sure you must have a bucket list full of it. I'm still dreaming. I'm 50 very soon, so I'm still dreaming. I'm still, me having big dreams, and so look, if you were to choose and say that's a celebrity, I would love to design the personal houses, who would that be?
Oh, oh wow, that's a really good question. Wow. I would say I'd like to design Kendall Jenner's home
Oh, that's a very
because I love her
interesting.
personal style as well. Yeah, Kendall Jenner, one of the Jenners. I
Why,
think she's so
why
stylish.
is that? Apart from liking the style, why would you love to draw a house?
Because I feel like my ideal client is someone that appreciates design, appreciates style, understands quality over quantity, understands, and someone that just wants the best of the best. And I have a feeling that that's exactly that. That's exactly how she is. Wanting the best of the best, very stylish, understands design. And yeah, I think that's probably like one of the
Very
most.
fashion driven,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, your your roots into fashion is still there. Yeah, your DNA is still there on the fashion. It's,
Exactly that. And I've been wanting to introduce that into interior design and into furniture design, just like smaller elements of, using fashion as inspiration and stuff. And I think fashion will always be a part of me, and it just comes out in unexpected ways.
we're getting to know you very soon. Listen, let me ask you, in your bucket list, is there a clothing fashion collection?
Oh, wow. So funny you should ask. I have been playing with the idea of doing like a fashion range, but at the moment I'm a lot more focused on getting the interior side of the business set up completely, and just being recognized and getting that brand out there, and then the furniture as well. But that the fashion, I think that will probably come at a later stage, but that doesn't stop me from creating pieces for myself. Like this shirt I'm wearing is actually one of my own designs. And I find, like, exactly like I told you with marble. So when I go to fabric houses, I find like really beautiful or really interesting kind of like fabrics. And then I'll create like a piece, I don't know, whether it's a shirt or dress or something interesting, something unique. Like this shirt, for example, no one else in Cape Town has a shirt like this. But I mean, like, I really enjoy being able to create myself. And then maybe in the future, I'll look at creating some clothing ranges. I'll see how it goes. I don't know.
I would be very interested to see your fashion collection, clothing collection, because I got the feeling that it must be an outrageous one.
Thank you.
For some reason, because choosing Kendall Jenner is already a statement, you
I
know?
know, right?
Big time. It's you can see the way you talk about fashion, your eyes sparkle. So, I'm sensing that there are days that you say, forget interior design, let me concentrate on this. It's like taking your pencil out and start drawing your clothing range. Just that it's like, oh, I'm back to, let me recharge the battery. I don't know, I get that feeling from you.
Yeah, it is quite nice. I mean, fashion is always on the forefront on trends and everything. And if you look at it, interiors and interior trends are often inspired by fashion trends as well. It always like trickles down into other areas, So I often look to fashion to see like what the new trends are, what are they playing around with, and very soon you'll see it in interior design as well. So it's it's like it's linked. It relates, and then it also ties down to the concept of creating your own space. Like, what is your personal style? Are you more laid back and minimal? Are you crazy and eclectic? Because then your space should also represent that.
Which fashion label you sympathize the most?
Very good question. So I am not really into labels, and I know that sounds crazy, especially because I just said that I love fashion so much. But I don't know. I don't really follow labels.
That's interesting. For a fashion guru like you, that you love design, you must study their philosophy, their style, the kind of designers.
I know. But look, I can definitely say that I like more structured and contemporary pieces. So I'll think of like, I know Dolce and Gabbana, they do like really cool structured stuff. Givenchy, they do amazing things as well. So like obviously there are these incredible brands that I look up to, but when it comes to dressing myself, I like putting things together, making my own things, getting creative with it, and it just adds to expressing your personal style. And it's not just like something that I found off the rack and I'm just like wearing it exactly how they styled it, for example. But yeah.
What is something that you will never compromise?
Comfort, definitely. I didn't have to think about that one at all. Comfort, comfort, comfort.
It's very interesting you said that, because Coco Chanel used to say, if it's not comfortable, it's not luxury.
Oh, I love her. She's incredible.
Hey.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, you can immediately see if someone is uncomfortable in what they wear, and that, like, they're expressing it because that's how they feel and stuff. So, like, to me, if you're comfortable in what you wear, it automatically gives you confidence.
Interesting. Wow. That's unbelievable. Very inspiring. And, I saw one of your collection pieces were like a credenza with a black wooden panel. It was fun.
With the arches on top.
Fantastic. What was your inspiration for that? I love that. I love that one. Where did you take the inspiration from on that?
I'm actually so glad you asked, because that was actually part of a small collection that I designed for a local retailer here in Cape Town. So I did a collaboration with them. And that specific piece, so I was very into creating a range that is inspired by circular shapes. And I'm sure you've noticed it's been a big trend all over Europe, all over the world. Softening the curves, having organic shapes, and all of that. So when designing this specific unit, I had to design it in a way that it's practical to manufacture, but still very unique and very eye-catching. And in order for me to get those rounded shapes without having to bend wood and do all of those extreme manufacturing processes, I just cut the doors in the rounded shape, but then the unit itself was still square. And then there's a pattern that I designed that was CNC cut into the doors. And where I got that idea from was when I was spending time at my grandmother's house, they used to have these like really vintage looking cupboards where the front of the cupboards will have like these like interesting shapes like jutting out on the top of the cupboard. And when I was designing this piece, I was like, that's actually a brilliant idea, because I don't need to curve the entire top of the unit. I could just curve the doors and it will actually give the effect that it's curved. And that's where that inspiration actually came from. So it was definitely inspired by my grandmother's wardrobes from back in the day.
What's your grandmother's name?
My grandmother's name is Ferial.
Name for that piece, because it suits the piece actually.
That is actually very true.
It's it's very warm. It was very warm piece. When I saw it, out of all of it, probably it's the biggest piece you have, but very warm. And I was almost going, let me take it and bring it home. So it caught my eyes. It caught my eyes. And another piece I think is a small floor mirror with a marble base, if I remember correct.
Yes.
Why?
It's a small, like a vanity mirror.
Yes, fantastic. That was a brilliant piece of collections. I love that.
Thank you.
Why
Thank
I'm
you so much.
that's impressive. 7 or 8 years working for third parties. You started your company, 2 collections, one out, one in the making. So fantastic. Last but not least, and obviously, I love the fact that you chose an inspiration from Kendall Jenner. I know that is your grandmother, so which are all women, and I want to bring to your attention this. There is a lot to talk about gender equality and diversity, and how do you think the design industry in general is doing in addressing this topic?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up. If I think of interior design specifically, and I look at, the male versus female in interior design, like the females are like up here and the male are down here, like percentage-wise. I mean, like there are so many more female interior designers than there are male. So, but then it's also interesting when you go higher up in the corporate, like climbing the corporate ladder, or if you get a higher position, it actually narrows down, and then it becomes more male and less female. And I'm really not sure as to why that happens. Like, I find it super interesting. I was wondering if it's got to do with when you study interior design, you do business studies, but it's actually such a small portion of what you're studying. So you're not really that equipped when you go out, when you start your own business. So me personally, when I started my business, I do feel like I was at a disadvantage when it comes to the business side, and that's something I'm still learning about as I go along. And I was wondering if that hasn't maybe got to do something with the fact that it does eventually simmer down to men in higher positions. I'm really not sure, but guaranteed, interior design's flooded with females. So that is really a good question. I'm not sure. But then also, if you think about it, like a lot of interior designers, they end up starting their own businesses. So then they are the CEOs and the directors of their own business, although it's a much smaller business. But when you look at bigger infrastructures and bigger businesses, when you come to the top, the CEOs and the directors are mostly male. I don't know, like...
The boss of a business, you have the chance to reverse that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting... Look, like at the end of each podcast, we want to know the key message. And so if I take a massive white canvas and put it on top of the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building on the planet, what message would you write on that?
Okay, so I'm all about staying positive, following your passion, doing what you love. I'm all about not focusing on the end goal, but enjoying the journey. So what I would put up there is follow your passion, do what you love doing, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Because what I find really interesting is when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, even though you don't know what the next step's going to be, purely putting yourself out there, making that first step, or actually taking that first step, that next step appears and the following step appears, and opportunities opens up. And it's so interesting. Like, what I find is, like, we often hold ourselves back and think, no, like, oh, it's overwhelming, how am I going to do this, etc., etc. But the minute you actually go in that direction, open yourself up to it, possibilities literally comes to you. It's like you attract it. I don't know. So I would say, go for follow your dream, remain positive, remain passionate about what you do, because if you're passionate about what you do, it's easier to actually continue doing it, because you always have the ups and downs. So I think that's what I would say. Stay positive, follow your passion, do what you love, and I believe things will work out.
Dear Fazlin, that's a very great message. And on that note, I sincerely thank you for your genuine answer and sincerity. Thank you very much.